Hello, welcome to this first lesson. This is community development. So, why are we looking at community development in ECDE? So, you realize that the area of ECDE involves working with communities, since the community here is a major stakeholder in the provision of ECDE services. So most of ECDE centers are also found there in the community. So therefore, ECDE trainers, teachers and maybe other caregivers, they need also to mobilize, sensitize, educate, advocate and also empower communities in an effort to bring them aboard to effectively participate in ECD activities. Yeah. So most of these activities that are done in ECD, they normally also get their resources from the community. Now that we have said that these ECD centers or ECD programs are majorly developed in the community. So if the community is developed or is empowered, that means that they'll have also to contribute towards the success of the ECD programs. So that is one reason as to why we are looking at ECD, we are looking at community development in line with what? The early childhood development education. The community plays a major role here, yeah, by also contributing towards the success of ECD centers. So in our first lesson, I want us now to look at the introduction, yeah, and in introduction we are going to define some of the terminologies that we are going to encounter as we move on with this course unit. So the first term that we need to define here is a community. A community. So when we talk about a community, this refers to a group of people living together in the same geographical locality, sharing same culture, same system of government. They also share same resources, and sometimes they also have common problems. That one is a community. So this is where the ECD centers are going to be established. Another term that we need also to define is capacity building. So capacity here means the ability to do something. So we are going now to build the capacity of the community. Yeah? Remember, you also need to know that a community cannot have zero capacity. At least they have something, they have some knowledge. So we are just going there so that we can build or add on the existing knowledge that the community members already have. So capacity building here refers to the process of empowering and also strengthening people to a place where they can now deal with their own problems themselves. So we want them to be we want them to be independent. Yeah, we want them to deal with their own issues, yeah, alone. So we do not want to create that scenario whereby these people or maybe community members depend maybe on external aids. So we have to build the capacity of these individuals so that they can stand alone in their own problems. Another term that we need also to know here is mobilization. So mobilization here means putting together, so we can maybe be mobilizing people, we can be mobilizing resources and other aspects. So this is the process of sensitizing and also creating awareness within the community to encourage voluntary participation in community development projects aimed at improving the living standards of the members. So it's until we sensitize these people, we convince them, try to inform them that there is a need for them to participate in all those development projects that are being implemented within the community. So we mobilize them, we put them together so that they can contribute their efforts towards the same. Another term that we also need to know here is participation. participation. This is one of the key elements in community development. We normally talk about people or community members being included or involved in development activities. So what happens in community development is that communities will have to develop themselves. We are not going to develop the community. And if they'll have to develop themselves, that means that they have to participate actively in development activities. Remember, if these people participate in development activities, or if they get involved in development activities, they are also going to cut down the cost of implementing that project. Remember, they can also provide labor, and they can also mobilize other resources that are needed in the project. If they participate in any development project, they're also going to own it. They'll have to refer to that project as theirs. There comes a time in the community where we have development projects that have been implemented without involvement of the community members who are the key stakeholders in this case. So in most cases, they refer to those development projects as, for example, that one is a CDF project, that is a church project, but they cannot refer to it as our project. The reason here is that they were not involved in coming up with that particular project. They did not contribute their resources towards the same. So that's why we'll have to insist much on community participation, that is involving the community members. If they participate, they're also going to acquire some knowledge and skills which they can now use to continue with that project, or to sustain the project even after the initial donor has left that project. So community participation is one of the key elements in the success of any community development project. So participation here refers to the voluntary involvement of community members in community development programs. Remember, programs here refer to what? A series of projects which are implemented or undertaken in the community. We also have another key term that is closely related to participation. This one is involvement. So community members must not be pushed, or maybe they must not be pushed or have projects imposed on them, because the projects initiated are meant maybe to benefit them. So it is prudent to have their views and also decisions being sought first. And that's why we are now going to consult them even during that stage of identifying the project that has to be undertaken. So in this way, the community will be able also to maybe identify the areas of priorities and be in a position also to identify the right project that needs to be implemented to solve their problems. So in a nutshell, community involvement here means that the community's views and also decisions are sought, yeah, and they are also incorporated during project planning, during project identification, implementation, and also project evaluation. Another key term that we need also to know here is sustainability. Sustainability. Sustainability here means the ability of something to keep going. So we are looking at community development, yeah? So in line with this, sustainability of community development projects means the ability of those projects to continue benefiting the community members even after the donor has left, yeah? Even after you as a change agent or a community development worker has left the community. So are they able now to continue with those development programs, or once you leave them, the project will also collapse? So what will have to enhance the sustainability of community development projects is participation, yeah? And that's why we were insisting much on this aspect of participation. Yeah, it's important because it will have to enhance continuity of a community development project. So effective programs should not just yield the intended results, but should also last longer for the community members to continue benefiting from the same. And that is what we mean by sustainability. So ability of the development program to continue benefiting the community members even after the initial initiator has left. Another key term here is sensitization. Sensitization, this one is a process by which a community is enlightened and also educated on maybe their needs, their resources, strength, and also their weakness. Yeah, and through this sensitization, that is when we'll have now to mobilize these communities, and that is when they'll have now to come and participate or get involved in community development programs. So those are some of the key terms. We'll have to continue with the other terms in the next class.